Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, this is Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things nerdy through a common sense lens. And it's one of them situations where Disney's Star Wars' Andor out there has been honestly beloved by a lot of fans out there and critics alike, which is honestly rather surprising. It's very rare you see those kind of things align. Hell, we even had something that came out of the absolute blue last week where Critical Drinker, who has been very highly critical of Disney's Star Wars for a long time, actually said that last week's 3 episodes of Andor was the best Star Wars he had seen since the original trilogy, and that is significantly high praise coming from someone like Critical Drinker. Well, boys and girls, for all the fans out there that don't like the show, well, guess what? There's people out there that hate this show even worse than the detractors who aren't fans of it, or the the commentators out there who aren't fans of it in any way, shape, or form, and that is Dave Filoni, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, Disney Lucasfilm's creative head for Star Wars, Dave Filoni himself, plus pretty much everybody else outside of Kathleen Kennedy, absolutely hate Andor. And the reason it comes down to is pure jealousy, boys and girls. And that is a fascinating thing to see and should not come as a surprise to anybody, considering the fact that Hollywood, and especially the Walt Disney Company, is filled with a bunch of narcissistic, egotistic psychopaths who think they are the bestest, smartest thing ever since sliced bread and will do better than anyone else ever before. They will be like the Most High, boys and girls. Well, obviously we've seen how with Disney Star Wars that has failed absolutely miserable, and it looks like the rest of Star Wars employees are extremely upset by Andor's success. So we're gonna check out this article from That Park Place. Is Dave Filoni gatekeeping Star Wars? Yes, boys and girls, if you love Andor and you would like to see more things like that inside of Disney Star Wars, well, guess what? It's not going to happen, and it's from the cretin himself, Dave Filoni. So we're gonna check out this article from thatparkplace.com, getting all of the juicy details of exactly what these insider leaks say. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we just crossed 1900. We're on our way to 2K again, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, if there's a comment in the section down below, does it surprise you at all that Dave Filoni and all the rest of these Disney Star Wars employees are extremely jealous of the success of Andor? Does it surprise you at all that Dave Filoni's ego is making sure that nothing but his own vision, what he wants out of Disney Star Wars, actually happens? Let us know what you think about it in the comment section down below. If you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description and think about becoming a member, where you'll get your name at the end credits of every single one of our videos and live streams, as well as get access to wonderful little member streams where you can hang out with me and we chit chat about all kinds of nerdy things. All right, boys and girls, from thatparkplace.com and our dear sweet Marvin Montanero. Is Dave Filoni gatekeeping Star Wars? New report suggests that Filoni Gilroy internal battle as Lucasfilm creative chief rejects stories that don't match his vision. Oh, color me shocked there. It's all about the loser in the cowboy hat, Dave Filoni. A bombshell allegation is making the rounds in the entertainment world, one that might finally explain the creative logjam at Lucasfilm. According to a new report, Dave Filoni could be gatekeeping Star Wars, rejecting pitches that don't align with his vision of what Star Wars should be. Oh, color me shocked there. Like I've said for a very long time, Dave Filoni is one of the major problems inside of Lucasfilm. It's not just Kathleen Kennedy, and Dave Filoni is a hack. I don't care if you liked his Disney Star Wars Clone Wars. I could not stand it, and Filoni is a hack. I mean, did you see Ahsoka? The first scene was nothing literally but her rubbing giant phallic objects. I mean, if that's not literally Dave Filoni's Tumblr fanfic, I don't know what is, boys and girls. On a recent episode of the House of R podcast, Joanna Robinson, a pop culture commentator and podcaster with industry access, so she's Access Media, dropped a major claim. According to her, multiple insiders say Andor, the critically acclaimed series from Tony Gilroy, is disliked by many within Lucasfilm. The reason? It doesn't fit Dave Filoni's narrow definition of what Star Wars should be. Oh, so I guess what Star Wars should be to Dave Filoni is a bunch of lightsabers that don't actually damage and hurt anybody. Rest in peace, Qui-Gon Jinn, and a bunch of lesbian space witches. The power of one, the power of many. Color me shocked there. I wonder what Dave Filoni's fantasies surround around. Oh, and by the way, it explains a lot too because of who he's married to. Yeah, give me backlash for that. We're going to get to that in just a second because, boys, if you're out there and you're unmarried and you're listening to this video, be very careful and vet the woman that you decide to spend the rest of your life with because it will influence who you are and the decisions you make. Clearly, that's happened with Filoni. And because of that, pitches that take the franchise in fresh directions are allegedly getting blocked before they even get off the ground. I've heard from so many other people who have gone in to pitch Lucasfilm and have not made it past the Filoni wall. And Tony Gilroy sort of snuck his way around via his relationship with Kathy Kennedy. Oh, Kathy Kennedy. I wonder if you've got a relationship with Kathy Kennedy. But literally, color me shocked there. Color me shocked there. And like the marketing said it, right? Andor is the most non-Star Wars that we've ever seen, right? It harkened back to like the kind of Rogue One era, which I honestly, out of all the Disney Star Wars movies, the Rogue One is the only one I liked. I should have been excited about Andor, but I was so burnt by all of the past garbage Disney Star Wars that had been produced that I didn't even give the show a chance. And then after I heard it was really slow, it's just not really my kind of thing. But I'm glad there's so many fans out there loving it. Like I said, Critical Drinker said it's the best Star Wars he's seen since the original trilogy, at least for those last 3 episodes. So Robinson calls it the Filoni wall, and it paints a disturbing picture of creative bottleneck where one man's preferences are dictating the future of a billion-dollar franchise. Oh, it's almost like just like when Kathleen Kennedy dictated the future of a billion-dollar franchise and turned it into a disastrous dumpster fire where all the toys end up at Ollie's now. Ha! History doesn't just repeat itself, it also rhymes. You want Disney Star Wars to get better? You want Star Wars in general to get better? All of the management and all of the creatives need to be purged from Lucasfilm. You know that little activist purge that Feige had? Yeah, somebody needs to do the exact same thing to Lucasfilm, but until our dear sweet Kathy Kennedy leaves, that is never, ever going to happen. And I'm not sure anybody inside of Disney, even Bob Iger himself, has the balls to actually do that. Despite widespread praise from fans and critics, Andor was reportedly treated as a nuisance internally. Robinson, and a nuisance that they spent $1 billion on. I guess it's good. I guess it's a good thing to be friends with Kathleen Kennedy. Robinson noted that while with many within Lucasfilm, excluding Kathleen Kennedy, don't like the way Andor is constantly referred to as the good one, she says there's been quite a civil war between Filoni's camp and Gilroy's style, with the latter only succeeding thanks to Kennedy's personal support. So I guess all of you Star Wars Andor fans out there, and all of the rest, all of you actually that like it and hated Kathleen Kennedy for a long time for everything else she'd done to Disney Star Wars, well, you got her to thank for the good one. And I love the fact that it's referred to as the good one by so many people, because that has just got to get under the skin of Dave Filoni, especially after his abomination that was Ahsoka. And then he's apparently also, this article points out the fact that he's another one that was a big push for the Acolyte. The reasons behind that we'll get to in just a second. That's a stunning admission. If true, rather than embracing Andor's success as a path forward, Lucasfilm appears more interested in preserving the status quo. And that status quo means funneling nearly everything through Filoni's lens, a tactic that hasn't been working well for Disney Star Wars. And when Filoni got his new little position where he was head of all of the creative decisions and the storytelling of Star Wars, I was like, this is a horrible idea. Filoni's a hack. And there are so many people out there that was like, oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. Filoni's in charge now. No, he's not. Kathleen Kennedy's still in charge. And at the exact same time, he's a hack. And this proves it. Dave Filoni rose to prominence as George Lucas's close collaborator on the Clone Wars, which I didn't like. For a time, many fans believed that he was the chosen heir to Lucas's creative legacy, but over the years, that reputation has eroded. Filoni's own projects, most notably the widely panned Ahsoka series, remember the giant phallic stroking? Yeah, have failed to, and also the whole trying to do the Force, and then all of a sudden nothing. All of a sudden, nothing. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she could use all these kind of crazy Force powers, even though she had no Force tendency whatsoever and had the lowest midichlorian count that the freaking little robot had ever tested. Yeah, make that make sense. Filoni's own projects, most notably the widely panned Ahsoka series, have failed to resonate with general audiences, despite heavy marketing and fanfare. Critics called Ahsoka dull, bloated, and utterly boring. Dude, there were scenes, I watched that show, there were scenes that went on for way too long. You're like, what is this still doing here? Yet instead of course correcting, Lucasfilm has doubled down. Even more telling, Filoni has been one of the most aggressively prominent supporters of The Acolyte, which was literally canceled within like a month of it coming out and had the worst ratings of Disney Star Wars at the time ever. A series that has already divided fans before its release thanks to the overt political messaging and focus on ideological themes. And don't forget the fact that they literally also retconned the fact that Plagueis came up with the idea to be able to create a child out of the Force. No, now it's two lesbian witches that Plagueis learned that there was even possible from. So now they've literally degraded Plagueis in the Star Wars lore and elevated a couple of lesbian witches that nobody had ever heard of before. Like, that's what Dave Filoni has done to Star Wars. That's your great champion. That's the guy that's going to be the bestest ever at Star Wars. Yes, that's the hack that is Dave Filoni. Far from being a guardian of Lucas's vision, Filoni now appears to be the leading force behind the studio's most polarizing outfit. Color me shocked there. Common Nerd was right. And that literally the only thing that made any of that Disney Star Wars good at all was Jon Favreau. Filoni is a hack. Favreau is the genius behind any of that stuff. And obviously Tony Gilroy now with Andor's success as well. If Filoni is gatekeeping Star Wars and filtering all pitches before they make it up the ladder, it would explain why we've seen such a formulaic storytelling from Lucasfilm in the years since Filoni was made the chief creative officer. Notably, there have been 3 different series: Ahsoka, The Acolyte, and Tales of the Empire. I completely forgot about that. I didn't even remember that came out. That focus on witches and witchcraft with aggressive, progressive, ideological messaging. It's been pointed out by many that Filoni's wife, remember what I was talking about earlier? Anne Convey once listed her pronouns on social media as she, her, that witch. She also posted photos of herself drinking from a mug that featured pentagrams along with a slew of other media that shows her witch hats and otherwise celebrating fictional witches. And that same picture with her with the pentagram cup, also she had a t-shirt on that said Hail Satan. I did a short over that, flat out calling out the fact that I guarantee you she's the reason Dave Filoni is a beta soy male and literally is the reason why he's gone completely and totally woke. I got so much hate for that. Yeah, it's his wife. Why are you picking on his wife? No. Men, pay attention to the women you choose to spend your life with. Whether or not Dave Filoni was actually a creative genius at one point or not, clearly his mind has been completely overtaken by what his wife wants. So it's altogether possible, though not confirmed, that this push towards witches in Star Wars is coming directly from the Filoni family. Oh, color me shocked there. If the gatekeeping allegations is true, it confirms long-standing fears from the fan base. Lucasfilm's creative stagnation might not just be incompetence, it might be intentional. Weird. It's almost like pushing the agenda was intentional. It's almost like when you decide to push an agenda, your storytelling lacks because you hired a bunch of activist hacks that decided to meet a bunch of checklist immutable characteristics just so you could get your wonderful, wonderful bonus at the end of the quarter, wasn't it, executives at Disney? Creators with new ideas are reportedly hitting a wall unless their work conforms to a very specific set of tastes. Tastes defined by Filoni himself. Color us shocked there. Andor, despite its critical success, now looks like the exception that proved the rule. And if internal resistance to that kind of storytelling continues, it may be a long time before we see anything like it again. So I feel deeply saddened for all of the wonderful fans out there of Star Wars Andor, because you will probably never see a season 3. Also because of the fact that it cost $1 billion. But hey, Kathleen Kennedy was perfectly okay with that because it was one of her buds. Because of this man right here on screen right now. The beta soy male bitch hack that is Dave Filoni, right? That all of you praised, oh, he's going to be the savior of Star Wars, is responsible for the biggest abominations we have seen inside of Disney Star Wars. He hates Andor, and it sounds like the majority of Lucasfilm does too, and all he wants is his Tumblr fanfic Star Wars, where it can be a bunch of lesbian witches where either him or his wife can live out all of their fun little flicking their bean fantasies, or it's of course Ahsoka stroking big phallic objects for a good 5 to 6 minutes credits at the beginning of a scene. Boy, I wonder what kind of weird stuff Dave Filoni's into. And boys and girls, like I said, I apologize to all the fans of Andor out there because it looks like Dave Filoni the hack is going to be the reason why you will never see the likes of it ever again inside of Disney Star Wars until he is removed from his position of power. And considering the way things go inside of Hollywood, I doubt that will happen anytime soon. So call everybody out there that criticizes the show and everything else all the haters you want, but at the end of the day, the creative decisions are listed and only lay in the lap of Dave Filoni, and he is the reason why Andor might not ever get a season 3, and trust me, he apparently hates it more than all of the rest of us out there. And hey, Disney Star Wars, you get exactly what you deserve. You hired this hack, and now you have to deal with the consequences of it.